Hi there, it's Adatum Foremas and welcome to this brand new speed build. So today, this is quite a special speed build for a couple of reasons. First of all, it is special because I'm starting it on a different lot than I am finishing it on, simply because I was working on it and I really liked working on it, so I wanted to make the house bigger. Also, the floor plan didn't really turn out the way I wanted it to, or at least it didn't really work out, so therefore I actually also had to move it just to make sure that there would be like a considerable amount of bedrooms in this house for the size of the house. So while working on it, I decided to move it onto a different lot in Oasis Springs, so the world is the same, but it's just a different, bigger lot. But something else that's special about this house is the fact that it's one of my first Sims houses in which I use custom content. And it's not a lot. You see me adding some of the custom content right here. It's the skylights and also the windows, which are custom content, and normally I wasn't really a fan of it, and I really never wanted to download it and have the struggle of having to replace it once there would be an update and all that kind of hassle sort of. So therefore I never really wanted to use it, but then I stumbled upon some really cool custom content on Sims Domination. That's the website I downloaded it from, and I'm planning on also making a separate video about this specific custom content and where I downloaded it and how you can download it as well. I know how to download it, but I want to show you how you can download it as well. So a video about that is coming up, but yeah, I'm just using it in this video, in the speed build, and personally I think it did really make the build look cooler and more special, because as you know, there are very many items with The Sims 4, like more items than with any Sims game ever before, but still sometimes you'd like to use some different items than that are basically like in the game itself. So therefore I thought, you know, I could give it a shot for this time and use it. And actually what I personally find important when using custom content, or which was also a reason why I often didn't use it, is because it looks so different than what the regular Sims stuff looks like. But as you can see, this seems like stuff that EA could actually have created. This is like totally in the style of the cartoonish style that The Sims 4 itself is like created in as well, and therefore it is so cool, and that's also the reason why I think it's okay that I'm using it. Let me know what you think of custom content, by the way. I'm very curious to hear your opinion about it. Like I said, if you're wondering how you can download it, just stay tuned. I'm uploading a video about that very soon. But yeah, it's really like not hard, and it's very easy to do. But what I personally find important with custom content is that it looks fitting with the rest of the build, and also with the rest of the Sims items. And I have found some items which I thought really did fit, so I've added those and played around with those in this build, which in the end turned this into a very cool speed build, actually, in my opinion. I've called it the transparent house simply because I've used so many of these skylights that it almost seems like it's a transparent house, obviously. But in the end, I personally really think this is cool. You can download this house from the gallery. However, because I've used custom content, the way you download it from the gallery is a little bit different. You have to go, not really in the settings, but in the filter option in the gallery, and there you can normally like choose, I believe you can choose that you're looking for lots, or that you're looking for like Sims, or for rooms, or whatever. Now, in that same area, you can also choose in advanced, I believe, something like custom content or different items or something like that. And then if you tick that, you should be able to download it. I'm not sure what it works like and whether you're getting any custom content with it. I believe it will not download any custom content. It will just replace it or just keep it out of it. So if you don't have this custom content, there's probably not that much use in downloading this house, simply because the skylights are a very important part of the house. But still, if you'd like to check this house out, it is on the gallery. Like I said, you just have to download it or put it into your game in a little bit of a different way than normally. Here you see that I've moved the house simply because I realized that I could almost not fit in any I wanted to create a very open floor plan, and also a very spacious one, so like sort of making use of all that skylight areas, trying to make that sort of open area, which is not very useful as a bedroom or whatever, but just as a sort of a big hallway. But therefore I didn't really have a lot of space for the bedroom, the master bedroom, so I had to just move it to this other lot in order to fit more stuff in. And then I came up with this really cool idea because I had some more space, and I thought, why wouldn't it be cool if I would create a an underground climbing area? Because I don't use this climbing wall very often, but for some reason in a split second I came up with this idea of adding the climbing wall. And I thought it would be really cool because you've got the skylight above it, and I thought it would create a really cool effect, especially when it would be underground. And it was actually pretty easy to make. In case you would like to have a tutorial on that, please let me know. But I think if you follow or slow down the video, or just stop it at some times and try to redo what I do, then it should be fine and you should be able to do it yourself as well. But yeah, still, pretty cool if you ask me, because it's like an underground climbing wall. I think no one has that in his or her house, so it's pretty cool that this house has it. Generally, I haven't used very many custom content items, by the way, so don't worry if you don't like custom content. Also, don't worry that I'm going to use this all the time now. I'm not sure if I will continue using it. I must say that I have quite a positive experience with it for this house, and I might want to use these skylights sometime again, but I'm definitely not going to go all custom content with all my houses, because I simply know that you want to download my houses, and it's just way easier to download my houses if you've got all the items I'm using. And I can imagine that you don't want to use custom content, or you think it's too much of a problem to download custom content. So therefore I'm definitely not going to make like more than 50% of my speed builds custom content. And also it's often just sort of a phase where I want to use custom content, and then all of a sudden I'm not really into custom content anymore. I think also when Pets comes out, we've got very many new items and also some new building tools coming up, so then I don't really need custom content to challenge myself or to come up with something new, because you've got new items already and a new role already, which brings enough new stuff, if you get what I mean. So therefore, just definitely don't worry about that, because I'm really not going to use custom content all the time. But I must say that it really did turn this house into something special. So yeah, there are quite some videos coming up. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a giveaway, which I believe I've mentioned in another speed build already as well. It's going to be a giveaway because I've reached 100,000 subscribers. I know that I've reached that quite some time ago already, but I just wanted to make sure that I would post that video about the giveaway at a moment where I was uploading quite a bit, because I felt like that would be more logical, and therefore also the giveaway would get more attention and more people would actually like enter the competition, or just the giveaway, because it's not really going to be like a challenging competition. It's just going to be something simple. But I am giving very many game codes for Sims 4 expansion, so that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to be able to share that with you all. But I think that will be sometime within the next 2 weeks, and maybe also already within 1 week. I'm not too sure yet. I've still got to make some sort of planning for the next couple of weeks with what I want to do with YouTube, because seriously, I want to get back into like more regular uploads, and also just better stuff in some way. And I feel like with this custom content, I am able to create like even better builds, if I'm honest, because this is seriously, these skylights are seriously like a very realistic item, which in my opinion as a builder really bring in like an entire new dimension and really makes building like a lot of fun again, simply because new items always really help that process. I just have to come up with ways and new ideas to create cool stuff. Also, I've been very busy with university the past couple of weeks, like I've also mentioned in the last speed build already, so I'm not going to bother you with that too much. But I've had my first like university exams now, so now I've got a little bit more time to focus on YouTube again. And also, I'm going to upload some more SketchUp again, because I know that people like that. I personally really like that, but that does require quite some time. I have recently figured out that my laptop, which I recently bought, actually is able to render like SketchUp images, which will make it a lot easier to create SketchUp speed builds, because normally rendering an image in SketchUp, which, in case you don't know what rendering is, it's creating those cool realistic looking images of the SketchUp model, which I always show at the end of the video and in the thumbnail of the SketchUp videos. Creating such a rendered image on my regular PC took like 40 minutes, and I literally, once I press start rendering, I had to move away from my computer, make sure that no other program was running, and then I had a chance that it would work, and often after 2 tries it would work, and 40 minutes of rendering per image. With every speed build I want to have at least like 4-5 images, so then and then sometimes something goes wrong, or you forget that you've added like a wrong palm tree or whatever, and in that way it just really takes a lot of time. But I figured out that my laptop is able to do the rendering like in exactly the same quality in like just over like 5 minutes per image, which will make it so much easier to do it. So therefore I think I'll be uploading a lot more SketchUp as well, simply because that's like a little bit more professional as well. Don't worry, Sims is staying, and Sims is going to still be the main thing on the channel. Definitely that's not going to change, but I want to expand on SketchUp a little bit as well, or at least get some more regular update or like a more consistent schedule in the SketchUp videos, because often I only upload that once every few months, and also not on a schedule. So it's not like once every month or once every 2 months, but just whenever I feel like it, and therefore I believe that doesn't really work out. So yeah, here as you can see I've added the pool now, and here I'm starting to add the color scheme, which I came up with like very easily with this build. Normally it takes quite some tries and quite some time as well to choose a correct color scheme, but for some reason with this house it was very easy to choose what colors to use and where to add them. And as you can see, just in one go I've painted the entire house, and it really looks cool if you ask me. With the blue, for some reason it creates a really cool contrast with like the whites and the black. Then I also came up with this idea with the slates, which you're seeing in a couple of minutes. These are the slates, a couple of seconds actually, where I'm changing the color of them, and like right now they're all black, but then I thought it would be cool to like combine black and white, because they're very close, or placed very closely to each other, like sort of 2 instead of 1 in one square, if you know what I mean. And then combining the black and the white for some reason created a really cool effect. Yeah, in the main part, which you just saw me creating, and changing the black into the white, there is a place where they are placed in front of the window, and that is not very convenient because the window doesn't bring in that much daylight anymore, but I think it still looks really cool, so I'm just left it that way. And for some reason I just wondered why I hadn't come up with this idea before, because I personally think it's pretty cool to combine those black and those white slates, and it just adds some kind of cool, yeah, I don't know what it is, but it just looks cool if you ask me. And also with the garden, I really did my best to create sort of a special garden, not just a garden where I put some plants and some trees somewhere, but I wanted to make it seem as if it was really designed by like a landscape architect or something like that, someone who really thought about it well and came up with some cool ideas. So here, for instance, you've got that fireplace area. Also, all the plants are placed in like either like specific areas, or they're like placed the way they should and not just randomly. It was sort of well thought out. And generally, this might be one of the best houses I've ever created. However, it does sort of feel like cheating because I've used custom content. But yeah, just a heads up again, just to stress that I'm not going to use custom content all the time. That's just something I want to make sure, because I know that it's just something not everyone likes. Yeah, at some point, yeah, it's just not something I want to do all the time either. Also, one negative aspect of this specific custom content is that it doesn't really close off a room, because as you can see, I've added skylights, but the game doesn't really recognize it, obviously, because it's not created by EA, and therefore the game doesn't realize that where I'm adding the skylight, I'm creating a room sort of, and therefore it sees it as if it's like an outdoor area, which is logical, and which like EA or like the Sims developers can do nothing about, because this is custom content. But therefore the lighting in the house itself isn't very good. So if you were to play in this house at night, for instance, this really wouldn't work out, and you'd have to delete the skylight, simply because the lighting just really doesn't work the way it should, I think. I haven't tried it that much yet, and maybe if you add like very many lights, it does work out in some way, but it's just not something you really want to do. Here, by the way, I added this like row of these trees, which for some reason created a really cool effect and looked sort of realistic and cool and modern, if you ask me. I just thought it looked cool. And then also trying out some different floor types or terrain types in the garden added quite a cool effect. And generally, yeah, for some reason, I just had a lot of fun creating this build as well, simply because I also were interested in trying to see all the new functions of this custom content and download it. And yeah, the house just turned out to look cool. I also moved it into Granite Falls for a second, because you probably don't remember, but at some point in the video I put in like pine trees in the house, but this is a desert area, so you don't really see that type of pine tree in a desert, so therefore it didn't really feel logical, and I had to delete it because I knew I would get comments about the fact that that's not realistic. Also, it just didn't look right. But I did really like the color combination of that tree, because it had a very vibrant green in combination with the vibrant blue in the house and the black and white. So I thought maybe in Granite Falls, where it is logical to use those pine trees, the house looks the same, or maybe even better, or it's more logical because I can use the pine tree there. But for some reason the lighting in Oasis Springs is just so good and so much better than in any other world. And you know what's like cool or interesting to know is I looked up my top or most viewed videos, speed builds in The Sims 4, and I believe out of the 10 top, like sort of the top 10 Sims 4 speed builds I've created, the top 10 being the top 10 most watched speed builds I've created in The Sims 4, I believe 9 or 8 of them were created in Oasis Springs, simply because I think the lighting of that area is better, and therefore the thumbnails turn out to be better, and therefore people tend to click on the video, like more likely, or are more likely to click on the video. But yeah, that's just something strange I realized, because I really like to build in Oasis Springs. I like to add some variety as well, but for some reason whenever I build something in Oasis Springs, the lighting is just really good. And I should have asked when I was at Sims Camp a couple of weeks back, I should have asked them if they could use that kind of lighting in like other areas as well, because it's that yellowish kind of color that's added that just makes it look really cool. I think that's the reason. And in the beginning, I remember that it was sort of hated on, the fact that it was so yellowish and white didn't really look white, specifically in Oasis Springs, because in all the other worlds it does look white is white, but that yellowish color just makes it feel so much warmer and so much cooler, if you ask me. Well, not cooler, but you get what I mean. It's cool, as in nice, dope. Also, today I saw a picture of Santa Monica, which you probably all know, that area in Los Angeles. And I would really like to see a world in The Sims 4 which is inspired by Santa Monica, with those typical California trees, a beach, also those typical American roads, which are gray. I mean, in the Netherlands, all asphalt roads are black. And I think that's I can't say too much about the rest of Europe, I don't really know. But specifically in the Netherlands, asphalt is black if you use it. just on the road sort of. But in the US it's often gray, and like that specific gray type of asphalt, and then the combination of those palm trees and some sort of like also this yellowish color and atmosphere, I think that would create a really cool world. But I'm not sure if they would ever create it, because it would be something very specific, and maybe a little bit not enough of a mix. They often try to mix different cultures and different parts of the world and inspiration sources, and this wouldn't really let that be possible. But yeah, hey, if anyone watches this who's in charge of the worlds, please create something like that, because I would like that. But before you do that, please create a tropical world, because that's just on my top of on the top of my priority list. Here I'm creating the kitchen, which I should definitely talk about, because I'm using very many new items, or at least not new items, custom content items. I downloaded one pack, I'll show that in the video later on, which I'll be uploading about this topic, and that really provided me with some really cool kitchen items, some realistic ones as well. And again, this one is a little bit less fitting in like the Sims style than the windows are, because the windows are literally perfect. This is like exactly the way the windows in The Sims 4 are. With the kitchen it's sort of fitting, but still you do really see the difference between the items. Sometimes custom content is tried to be made too realistic, which is logical because people often use custom content to add realism to their game. But personally, I just want to have the new objects and to have a logical combination of custom content items and just regular Sims items. But I think that worked out pretty well. And also I'm adding a hanging, not a hanging tree, a hanging chair later on in this video, I believe in a couple of seconds when I'm creating the living room. And that one is totally cool as well, seriously. When I found that one, I was like, okay, I totally have to download that one, because I think hanging chairs are for some reason really cool. You saw it for a second there, but didn't add it here because you couldn't create a hanging tree, because you've got that is it an atrium? No, it's just that, I don't know what you call it in English, but that open area. Here you see me adding the hanging trees. Also again, here I had some trouble figuring out where I wanted to hang them or where I could, simply because of those skylights, the ceiling isn't exactly the height of the regular wall height sort of, and the cord which the hanging tree is attached to is the regular wall height, so then you're getting some illogical problem. So I had to fix that, but in the end it worked out. And this is just a very like daylight lit area, simply because of all those skylights and the lights or skylights and all the windows around it, which in my opinion really turn it into something cool. I hope, this is a very long video for me to do a commentary on, so I hope it's still understandable. I feel like sometimes I often want to say a lot and therefore I talk very quickly, but since it's also not my native language, I'm sort of like falling behind on myself and it turns into some random rambling, but I hope it's still understandable and you like it and it's okay. By the way, the middle part, like the frame of this house, sort of the middle frame, turned out to be really cool as well, in my opinion, with the hallway, with that 2-level open area. I just looked at that again and I think it's pretty cool. And I really would like to see these kinds of skylights in The Sims 4 in some expansion packs sometime, because seriously, this would add so many more opportunities if everyone would be able to use this and it would just be a regular item sort of. And this shows that it is possible. However, it is possible. I say this as if it's logical, but that's not entirely true, because like I just said, you do create some sort of problem with the rooms that are created, because the skylights don't turn the rooms you've created into rooms, but they just turn it into some outdoor place surrounded by walls, if you know what I mean. So therefore, I can actually imagine that it is a problem to create these, but it does add such a cool extra aspect to the game, if you ask me. Also here I'm adding a little gym, where I also finally was able to find some actual like good gym equipment, because it was always very illogical that they actually brought out like a fitness stuff pack and I managed to not add like weights and like whatever, all the stuff you've got in the gym. they didn't add it in that pack, so I thought, okay, I've got to look for some gym equipment in the custom content, and I found some, so I was happy, and I added that as well. So as you can see, in some places I've added quite some custom content, some places I didn't, but this is just some sort of tryout to see if I should actually use more custom content in the future. And personally, I think it's pretty cool, and I feel like I found some sort of right balance between using custom content and just using regular Sims items, and it just still definitely looks like a Sims 4 house, but just with some cool added extras, I believe. But here we're working on one of the 2 bathrooms. This house has 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. In case you do want to download this house, because you also have all these custom content items. So let me see. Yeah, here we're working on the 2nd bedroom and also the 2nd bathroom. So yeah, let me know what you think of custom content. Also let me know what you think of this video and also the house. With the last video, I asked many of you, or I just generally asked, how many of you actually watched the entire video and how many skipped to the overview. So how many people actually don't or wouldn't be able to hear this part, because this is so far into the video. But it was a lot of fun to see that very many people actually watched the entire video, which is really cool, because that makes me realize that the entirely big story I'm telling is actually listened by people. So yeah, that's just really fun to hear. And great. And if you can only skip to the overview because you don't have enough time, or you just don't like to hear me rambling about random stuff, because often I don't really talk too much about the house, or I try to combine it, and whenever I do something special or specific, I try to talk about it. But I also want to talk about different things, because only talking about the build is sort of boring. But I can imagine that people only skip to the overview. But it's fun to hear people's patterns, and it also helps me out. By the way, if you want to like this video, don't forget that you can, because if you like this video, it will go up in the ranking and more people will be able to see this, and I'll be able to create more videos. But anyways, this is the end of the video already. I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, like I said, please like this video and also subscribe to the channel. Then you'll be able to see more of these kinds of speed builds. And then, yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you back later.